So we're going to talk about my 5 top investing books of all time. So I'm a super book nerd. If you want to read more about these reviews, I'm on Instagram, Millennial_Money_Mindset. I've got videos out as well, so on YouTube. So let's get into it. So first book, The Intelligent Investor by Benjamin Graham. So why is this book so good? So this is basically what Benjamin Graham basically taught Warren Buffett, who's the best investor of all time. This was his mentor. So he's Benjamin Graham, essentially the grandfather of investing. So the main thing about this book is what's the difference between speculating, which is buying something on the hope that someone else will pay for it, rather than investing, which is actually buying physical, breathing businesses that are you're not just gonna get your money, you're not just gonna get a return, you're actually gonna get your money back as well. So he talks a lot about that. It's a thick book, to be honest. It's a lot in there. So it's really, but yeah, if you want to understand investing and value investing, then this is a good book to kind of read. My next book is A Random Walk Down Wall Street. So this is fantastic kind of summary of everything. So whereas the last book just covers kind of value investing, this book covers like behavioural finance. It covers kind of fundamental technical analysis, fundamental analysis, and but it almost reads like a history book. So it goes back through kind of what is a bubble, looks at bubbles in the past, and it also talks about kind of how you can reduce your risk. So this book kind of, was definitely one of the highlights of my investing kind of reading. But yeah, I'd highly recommend this one. But yeah, it kind of reads like a history book. But yeah, it's pretty good. The whole point, his title is A Random Walk Down Wall Street. He kind of says that, he talks about the efficient market hypothesis, and it basically means that the markets, whatever we do, they're always going to be efficient. They're always going to rise, kind of the demand supply, because nature doesn't like a vacuum, will always kind of, overall, will always be efficient. But ironically, at the end of it, he basically says that although the markets are efficient, there are ways that a savvy investor or anyone who's looking at investing, like paying, things we talk about, like paying yourself first, diversify, rebalancing, how this can reduce your risk and as well as getting the same returns, which is basically what you're looking for in any investment. So the third book is by Peter Lynch, so A Random Walk Down Wall Street. So Peter Lynch was one of the greatest investors of all time. He worked for Fidelity, he was a fund manager. So he's kind of taken a lot of his wisdom and kind of put it into quite a short book. The main takeaway from this book is basically anyone can be an investor, even today. So you walk into your local supermarket, you can see like what's selling, what's not. If you go to your high street, you can see the shops that are doing well. Is there a queue outside the building? Is things not selling? You, as a person today, you can almost know more about certain investments than the market can appreciate by doing your own research. So that was essentially anyone today. Investing is a life skill, and everyone needs to know it. It's like cooking or riding a bike or driving. People need to know this because you now have to manage your own money. So one of the big takeaways is what is earnings. So talking about the difference between investing and speculating from Benjamin Graham's Value Investor book, Intelligent Investor. So he always says, look at how much is that company making, like how much profit is that making, because that can tell a lot. Essentially, one of the main things about a business is that it generates profit, and until a business generates profit, you're not going to get a return on that investment. So that's the next book, One Up on Wall Street. The other one, the first UK, as far as I'm aware, UK author, so Jim Slater. So this book kind of blew my mind, because I always thought as an investor you had to always look at kind of FTSE 100 companies. These are kind of the big lumbering companies that are reported every day. But by using small kind of niche companies, but basically the whole point of the Zulu principle, he says that by doing your research and becoming kind of a specialist expert. So he talked about going and being an expert in the Zulu tribe, and by actually kind of going to talks, reading books, kind of actually visiting these Zulu tribes and understanding kind of more about them. You become kind of an expert. You'll know more about that topic than the majority of the UK population. So he talks about have a specialised knowledge in one certain area, and then kind of understanding the market so much or understanding those companies so much that you know more about than the market appreciates, and you can kind of see if a price has been undervalued or overvalued. And he uses kind of real great analogies, which I've kind of used for some of my books. I talk about how fleas can jump and elephants don't gallop. So fleas are small, very small companies that, because they're so small, they can jump really quickly. They can move really quickly compared to these kind of lumbering FTSE 100 companies, which move really slowly. So yeah, Jim Slater's Zulu Principle is a great book. My final book is Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad. This is the guide to investing. So Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki almost gets quite a lot of stick. It's almost become a cliche of kind of investing books. His first book, Rich Dad Poor Dad, the reason why it's so successful is because he uses stories, and he uses kind of the analogy of a rich dad and his poor dad and how we can learn from these two. This book is the guide to investing. So Robert Kiyosaki's written like, I don't know, 10, 20 books about kind of investing in businesses. This is a great insight into what is a business. He talks about kind of having your own balance sheets, understanding your incomes, your expenses, your assets, your liability. This was a great book. It's quite thick, but it's kind of illustrated as well. So my book, Millennial Money Mindset, summarises a lot of these and kind of gives it in a much kind of easier format to understand. But my top favourite book, that's a difficult one. I would probably, to be honest, if you're just starting, this is a great book to understand kind of what is investing and kind of understand everything there is, kind of a great summary of everything there is about investing. So A Random Walk Down Wall Street would probably be my top of the 5.